Hello, everyone. We are just going to wait a few minutes for more folks to come in, but feel free to use the restroom and grab a drink. We're going to get started in about 5 minutes. All right.
Okay. Sounds good.
Hi, everyone. If you're just joining us, we're going to get started in a few minutes. I'm just waiting for a few more folks to get here. So we're going to start in about 3 to 5 minutes. How's everyone doing today? Excited for orientation to start?
Yes, sir.
That's correct.
Oop, not mean to advance that slide. All right, so hi everyone. My name is Vincent Scarfo. I am the coordinator of the Mark David LGBTQ Center. I use they, them pronouns, and I will be your presenter for today. So this presentation is really going to go over what the Mark David LGBTQ Center offers for our LGBTQ students, and will really kind of prepare you for everything you need to know as an incoming student who is part of the LGBT community. And so we are recording this because we'll be posting this presentation on our YouTube page for student development. So if you look on YouTube for CCP Student Development, you'll be able to find us. We have some of our past programs and some of our past panels that were recorded during the pandemic on that YouTube page, which you can watch at any time. And the recording of this will be available there as well. We will be leaving the recording on at the beginning of our question time at the end. And then I will be turning the recording off for anybody who has questions that they don't want to be recorded. So I'm just going to get started unless anybody has a burning question about the presentation or what we're going to be covering. All right, in that case, I'm just going to jump right in. So like I said, my name is Vincent, and I am the coordinator for the Mark David LGBTQ Center on campus. The Mark David LGBTQ Center was founded in 2018. So it is, this is our fourth year as a center, and we are here to serve all LGBTQ students and non-LGBTQ students who want to learn more about the LGBT community. So what does the Mark David Center do? Well, one of the main things that we do is programming. So we put on different fun events and social events for the campus community that share part of the LGBTQ culture and really get people out and have fun, but also a lot of educational programs, discussion series. There is a full calendar of events. We also offer student support, which includes academic support, personal support, and an LGBTQ plus club. Education is another big part of what we do on campus. So in addition to doing things that support students directly, we also support students by making sure that our faculty and staff are educated by doing faculty and staff trainings. We have an annual LGBTQ conference where we have two tracks, one track for LGBTQ people who are on the empowerment track, and our education track, which is for non-LGBTQ folks to learn more about the LGBT community. So we have two different tracks, sessions offered all day for a full day conference. Unfortunately, we haven't done it for 2 years because of the pandemic, but we're hoping to be back this spring. So look out for that. Orientation, here we are right now at orientation, but we also are involved in the regular orientation sessions. I am one of the facilitators of our orientation, so I hope you signed up. We'll be doing them tomorrow and the following day. But if you're here, you probably already know about that. And then we also have drop-in support. So because of the coronavirus, I am currently only in the office on Wednesdays and Thursdays and every other Friday. But if you are on campus on a Wednesday or a Thursday and you are vaccinated, feel free to drop by S119 and say hello. A little bit more about what we do. We connect you to local and campus resources for support that we don't offer directly. So our center is really an office of one, it's me. So a lot of the work that we do is around programming and support and education, but there's so many more issues that the LGBT community faces that we need to make sure we have help with. So we will get you connected to the places that can help you either in the city of Philadelphia or on campus at CCP. So we're really committed to academic success. We want to make sure that you get all the help that you can get. So if you're having an issue in the classroom related to your identity, we can help you navigate that and advocate for yourself. If you need additional support, we have a relationship with the Learning Lab on campus, and we can get you some hours in the Learning Lab and some additional academic support. If you are experiencing food insecurity or housing insecurity or any other financial instability or transportation issues, we can connect you with Single Stop. Some of our Single Stop folks are in the audience with us today. They are a wonderful support and they have plenty of resources. They'll help you apply for an EBT card. They can help you with your taxes during tax season. And they're working with our office to make sure that their staff is LGBTQ competent and supportive of our LGBT community. If you're experiencing employment issues, we also have a great relationship with the Career Connections on campus, which is our career center. So we can connect you to a lot of different places on campus. And additionally, with food and housing insecurity, we work with local organizations like Project Home, and well, we don't necessarily work with them, but we refer students to them. With the William Way Center has a project with Safe Inc. that helps to do emergency housing as well as long-term housing solutions for folks experiencing housing insecurity. So there's a lot of different resources available just from the city of Philadelphia, local nonprofits, and even on campus that are not run through our center, but we will get you connected to them and even help you contact them and get connected with them. If you're experiencing microaggressions or discrimination on campus, you can come to my office to report those things or send me an email. We can get you connected with our Title IX coordinator on campus and tell you about confidential resources as well as resources to do something about the issue. So if you're experiencing any issues, feel free to drop in. And even if our office doesn't directly deal with those things, we will get you connected to the place that you need to go. As far as some of the direct support that we offer, if you're exploring your identity and you're not really sure like what to read up on, what to think about, if you just want someone to talk to and just kind of express how you're feeling, you can definitely just drop in and come talk to us, me really, or if we have some of our student leaders. Support and self-advocacy. So if you need support on campus, if you need any sort of help, if you're not sure how to navigate a situation, you can come talk to me and I'm happy to talk you through that situation and help you advocate for yourself. Sometimes, especially with colleges, there's some bureaucracy and some challenges in navigating systems. And so it's sometimes just a matter of letting you know how you can navigate those systems and how you can advocate for yourself, who you can reach out, who you can talk to, and just offering that additional support. And also, if you just want to learn more about the LGBT community in Philadelphia or on campus, or you want to learn some of the history about the LGBT community, we also have a lot of books and resources, as well as I have just a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge. So any questions you have, any support you need, you can come to the center pretty much for any reason. We are a one-stop shop for LGBTQ students, and we'll make sure you get where you need to go and who you need to talk to. Any questions so far? All right, great. We'll have a section for questions at the end, so don't worry if you do have a question. So here's some of the programs that we have. These are some of our more like our recurring programs. All of these flyers come from pre-pandemic times, so we'll see a little bit of a mixture of these events as we return to campus. So we had a sexual health fair for World AIDS Day a few years ago. Every single year we have the Coming Out Night drag show. That's one of our most popular events, and the 4th annual drag show is happening this October. So look out for that. The Mask We Wear was a great program that we did with the Center for Male Engagement, talking about masculinity and queer identity, as well as just kind of queer coding and code switching. And this is our flyer for the LGBTQ conference. So there's some of the programs we've done on campus in person. And over the pandemic, we did a panel for Black trans lives. We did a panel for disabilities, like for LGBTQ folks with disabilities. We had Black Girl Magic do a digital drag show for us, which is a local group that does that highlights Black performers in the drag community and burlesque communities. And we had a monthly web series called LGBT with Tiffany, where local drag performer Tiffany Uma Mascara met with faculty and staff and discussed a bunch of different topics. So all of these are available on our YouTube page, except for the Black Girl Magic show, which is available on Vinchel's Twitch page, which you can find in our link tree on our social media page, which I will tell you all about later. But between the last page and this page, between our in-person and our digital events, as we return to campus, you'll see some hybrid events. So we may have events that are in person and that we film them to also present them digitally, or we may have things through Zoom or through YouTube Live where things are completely digital. But there will be a full roster of programming, which, speaking of, for the fall, our programming calendar includes LGBTQ orientation, which is where you are right now. So congrats, you're already one program down for this semester. And then in September, we'll be launching a new initiative called the Transgender Success Program. So keep an eye out for that, and we'll talk about that a little bit in one of the upcoming slides. We also have an LGBTQ discussion series happening this semester. So we have a few different topics. So for Bisexual Awareness Day, we're talking about identities beyond binaries. For National Coming Out Week, we're talking about coming out. And that week is also the same week as the drag show. We'll be doing tabling for Pronouns Day to bring awareness to folks who use pronouns that may not match what people perceive of them, and so that we can have that discussion of not assuming people's pronouns based on what they look like, and normalizing the use of pronouns other than he and she. For our for Intersex Awareness Week, we're talking about LGBTQ medical discrimination for our discussion series. For the Transgender Day of Remembrance, we'll be having some sort of gathering and memorial on campus, most likely a moment of silence and a group of speakers. And we may do that in coordination with the city when they announce their flag raising for that day. And lastly, for World AIDS Day, we'll be closing out our LGBTQ discussion with looking at the HIV epidemic 40 years later. So that is our program offering for this semester. So we hope to see you at all these programs, or at least some of them. And I'll tell you how you can find out where you can get the information on these events in a little bit. One other thing I really wanted to talk about with the LGBT Center, or at least issues that may affect the LGBTQ community. We do have a chosen name policy on campus. So if you are trans and you have changed your name, or if you go by a nickname or a different name, even if you're not trans, if you are an international student who wants to use a more Americanized name, and for any reason that you want to go by a different name, you can use our chosen name policy. And so the step-by-step instructions are here. They're also on our website. But basically, you just log into MyCCP, you go into your profile, and you edit your contact information, and then you change your name to your correct name. And so you only want to put your first name in there. So make sure that you're not putting your first and last name, or else your last name will appear twice on everything. But that will update your name in Canvas so that your professor's rosters have your correct name. It will have your correct name on your ID when you go get a new ID. You just wait 24 hours from changing it in the system for it to update everywhere. So don't go get your ID until the next day if you do update your name. So I just want to let everyone know that that policy does exist, because I think that's one of the biggest questions for our transgender student population. And so I always want to make sure to mention that. And then speaking of our transgender population, this semester we are launching the Transgender Success Program, or TSP. We recognize that trans students face unique challenges and barriers to higher education. So we've created this program that will offer different seminars, support groups, programs specifically for the trans population on campus. And we'll be partnering with different offices to develop programs specifically for the trans community and the challenges that they face. So we're really excited to launch this. And then also we'll we hope that this program will continue to grow, and we'll be able to launch a cohort program next year where those students receive stipends for being involved and becoming mentors and leaders within that program. So if you are trans, non-binary, or you have friends who are, please let them know about this program. We'll be announcing our programs in the coming weeks, and we'll have some sort of branding, so you'll be able to recognize the flyers and advertising for those programs if you are interested. Speaking of which, we have a fantastic and full website available that has plenty of resources. So I'm actually just going to click into that so you all can see. Can you all still see this tab, or is it still sharing the old tab?
I can see the tab.
Yeah, it's good. Everything's good.
Awesome. So if you go to our website, we have a bunch of great resources readily available that you can just access any time of night. So you don't even need to drop into the office or ask questions, send emails. You can just come here, and it has a lot of the information already. So we even have resources here. So if you would like to learn more about a topic, we have videos that were made by a CCP student that really cover some of our basics. If you have friends and family who are not really sure about your identity and you want to educate them, there's some resources that you might be able to share with them. This is a free competency training. It's basically the Gender 101 presentation that I do for our faculty and staff, but it's designed specifically for friends and family of trans people. So it can answer some of the more basic questions and also give them an idea of how to be an ally to their loved one. We have a lot of different great videos from different YouTube channels and stuff. The steps for the chosen name policy that you went through earlier, and then also we have a glossary of vocabulary terms to what different terms within the LGBT community means. So there's a lot of great resources on here. We also have a lot of the different groups that we work with in the city of Philadelphia listed here. We have our events and programs, which we need to update for the fall. And of course, our about information and contact information. So feel free to stop by our website. If you ever can't find anything on the website, feel free to reach out to me directly via email. But which brings us to our next point. How do you get involved? How do you stay informed of all of these things that are happening? How do you know when programs are coming up? And so let's start with how you can stay informed. Follow CCP LGBTQ on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. So facebook.com/CCP LGBTQ or at CCP LGBTQ on Twitter or Instagram. We post about our events and announce different programs and initiatives through there, and also just kind of post some fun little history things and information for Pride Month and for different events. So definitely follow those if you're a social media person. Join the Mark David LGBTQ Center organization on Pride Portal. Pride Portal is basically our internal Facebook for the college. So it has all of our events calendars, the organizations, student clubs, all the information you need to know about getting involved on campus and all the events happening on campus. So make sure you check out the Pride Portal calendar, and also join the Mark David LGBTQ Center and the LGBTQ Club on the Pride Portal so you can get notified when we post events for those specific Pride Portal pages. And then join our email list. So if you go to any of our social media sites, we have a little link tree link there, and there's a join our mailing list link in there. So if you would, and I'll drop it in the chat at the end of this presentation. So if you sign up for that, we will send you emails when we have events coming up and let you know what's coming in the semester, in the upcoming month, or in the upcoming week as the semester happens. So if you're an email person instead of a social media person, that's another great option. We're really launching that for this semester. We just started that list at the end of last semester. And then lastly, another way to get involved is by joining the LGBTQ+ club. However, because of the pandemic and kind of lower student engagement while people were virtual, the club's leadership never really got together for that. So the club is currently inactive. So we need student leaders to revive that club, because it's a really great opportunity for you to meet other students and and advocate for your own community with your own voice instead of the center. Because this is a student-run organization that is not controlled by the center. You all are running your own show, but in order for a club to be active, we need a president, a vice president, a secretary, and a treasurer. So if you would like to get involved in the LGBTQ club, you can reach out to me and I would be glad to connect you to our advisor, Michael, and try to get that club back up and running. Because I would love to have meetings for y'all to go to and have that community support and peer support. So are there any questions? That concludes my little spiel. And to remind you, this part is being recorded. So any questions that you don't mind being on video, or any questions you have for the good of the group, feel free to ask. But then after I turn off the recording, I'll open it up to more questions if you have a question that you don't want on the recording. All right. So feel free to just unmute and ask your question.
It's not really a question, but about the LGBT club. I'd have to contact you for that.
Yeah, so I just put my email in the chat. So if you email vscarfo@ccp.edu, that's VSCARFO@ccp.edu. That is my email address, and I can connect you to Michael K, who is the advisor. He works over in the library, and he's the advisor of the club. So if we can get 4 students or more students who really want to revive this club, we just need to fill out the appropriate paperwork and have the club e-board attend a training for Lion leaders, and then we can get that club going again, and hopefully have student support for some of the great events that we have, as well as student-led events and student run meetings.
Sounds good. Okay.
Okay, can you please show your email?
Yeah, it's in the chat right now. So if you open the chat window, I'm gonna stop the screen actually, so I can see all of y'all. So yeah, if you email vscarfo, that email that's in the chat, that is my email directly.
Okay, thank you.
Grab the link for our mailing list. All right, actually, I'm going to drop this link tree. So if you go, if anyone's familiar with Linktree, we have a link tree which has all of our important links. So if you go to, it's Linktree, but the period is between the R and the EE. So linktree.ee, Linktree/CCP LGBTQ, and that has all of our social media links, as well as a link to the Pride Portal calendar and our mailing list. And for the YouTube recording, I will put my email and the link tree in the description of the YouTube video. Any other questions? All right, in that case, I'm going to stop the recording and then we'll open it up to any other questions you don't want to record.